Hello, long time no see. It's good to see you. Thank you for dropping by here for yet another informative session. Now, how do you make decisions? What is your method of decision making when you want to make a decision? You want to decide something. How do you go about it? Do you do the old like do you go with your gut feeling, or do you do the pros and cons? That kind of method, or do you just go with whatever looks like makes sense at the time? What is your method of making decisions? Um, well, for me, sometimes I go with gut feeling and sometimes I go with pros and cons. But then my favorite method of making decisions is the multiple criteria decision making method, which I'm going to show you. So that's what I'm going to show you. It's called multiple criteria decision making. This works well when you have to make a number, like you have a range of choices, say 3, 4 choices. It can work well for anything, absolutely almost anything. Say you want to choose maybe a home or a house that you want to live in, and you have a range. Say you've seen 3, 4 houses and you're trying to select the best one. This method works fantastic. Or you're trying to select your new phone, which one will you go for? Or you're trying to select so even if you're trying to hire somebody for a job, this works very well in making that decision. If you're trying to select a school for your child, this also works perfectly. So I'm going to show you this. I'm going to do this a bit differently because I'm going to take you onto sort of a PowerPoint presentation. Hopefully you will enjoy, and you will start to use this method of decision making. I like it because it's more scientific. So you might want to grab a pen and paper if you feel like it, because then you'll be able to write down the points and the steps. So it's a more scientific method. It's more reliable because you're not using any of your you do discuss with your, say if you have a partner that you're discussing a decision with, and you can also put in some of your input, but then you have to use some scientific analysis to be able to arrive at your conclusion and your decision. Okay, all right, now let's take a look at this. Okay, so multiple criteria decision analysis. How do we do this? So we are going to use a business scenario this time, and this time we have 3 business partners, like I'm showing you here, and our 3 business partners are going to they have a growing business, and so the decision they're going to be making at this point is selecting an ideal office for them to use for their business. So what happens, they have, first of all, you have your decision alternatives, and for our 3 businessmen and women, as I have shown you, they have 5 alternatives at this point. So I've just selected random buildings where they could possibly have offices, and maybe they've checked out these offices and they're trying to decide between these 5 buildings that I've just given random names, which is basically fruit and veg names. So between these 5 buildings, which is the best option for them, and how can they select the best one for them? So as you can see, they have Kale Building, Broco Towers here, they have Carrot House, they have Lemon House, and they have Grape Towers. Okay, so the first thing they're going to do is to identify the interests. What are they interested in? What is most important to them? And so here they've come up with this. These are called, let me just show you using my pen here. So they have, probably should use white. Yeah, they have what I'm calling here the main interests, and then they have the sub interests here. So you can have main interests and sub interests, and you can have as many interests as possible. So this is where you sit down and have a discussion if you have partners that you need to discuss, and you have a discussion about what do you want, what are your interests. So like for these guys, their interest is security, and under security they want to ensure that they have available security personnel or manned entry. They also have after hours security, obviously, because this is important to them. Probably they leave valuables in the office, or there's someone working in the office after hours, so they just want to ensure that they have security. Cost is also important to them, so they're trying to ensure that they rent the most affordable, or the one that has the low leasing cost. And also they want to ensure that they do not have any maintenance or repair costs falling on them, therefore it's much cheaper for them. So they've listed down all these things that are their interests, and that's what you're going to do when you're trying to make your decision. You list down all your interests, and then sometimes you realize that some interests fall under another interest, and so you just move that over until you have sort of an order. Like sometimes you can have so many, like 5 points, and you realize, okay, all that falls under security, and then you can try to like compress that and put them under sub interests and interests. Okay. All right, so next part is where we're going to say you're going to rate the alternatives against your interests. So you're going to have a table like this, okay? And in this table, you're going to write down your interests, which is what we had in the previous slide. You're just going to write down what are your interests, and then you have your alternatives, which is the buildings they have already seen. So they have the Kale Building, Broco Towers, Carrot House, Lemon House, and Grape Tower. So these 5 buildings they have as their possible alternatives. They're trying to make a decision between these 5, and also they have the interest which they have decided what is important for them. And then the next thing, you're going to rate your alternatives between 1 to 5. 1 being this is a poor option, or it doesn't meet our needs. It meets our needs the least. And average being 3 being an average, and 5 being excellent, meaning it meets our interest the most, and that's the most points that we're going to give. Okay. Then we're going to start. I'm just doing this. I've just done this as an example for you. For instance, available security and manned entry. So they want to ensure that they have this. So Kale Building, do they have available security and manned entry? So they have ranked that a 5 because possibly that exists in this building. Broco Towers, they've also ranked it a 5 because that exists. So we have something like Lemon House here. Probably they don't have that kind of security. There's no security, or there's no manned entry, and so the Grape Tower also gets a 1. 4, possibly there's security, but not as excellent as these 2. So that's how they've ranked, and they've given all this. So you're going to rank each and every of your option or your alternative against your interest. I'll show you this one, which is after hours security. And as you can see here, they've ranked Kale Building a 5, meaning they're very happy with the after hours security that this building has. Then they've ranked a 1 on Broco Towers, which means they possibly went there and they realized that after 5 o'clock, after 6 o'clock, whatever after hours is for them, there's no security, or the security is very low, and so they ranked it a 4. And you can see here, maybe Grape Towers, for instance, they gave it a 3. Possibly they just beef up the security after hours, and so that's good for them. So they're thinking, okay, they'll get a 3, but security is not as good as the one here. Okay, so you just keep doing that for each and every one of your list. You can see they've done that again for the third option. For instance, Kale Building gets a 1 in terms of most affordable, which means it's the most expensive. So it's most expensive, so it meets their needs the least. So that gives them the lowest points. And you can see here, Lemon House is the most affordable for them, because most affordable, and therefore it gets a 5. Maybe Grape Towers is the second most available, yes, gets a 4. You have Broco Towers, maybe so just in the middle there, yeah, gets a 3. And 1 maybe as expensive as Kale Building. So just keep giving rank. And as you can see, we've done that again in terms of maintenance and repair. They've possibly been told here that so here giving a 5 because maybe they have been told, yep, you don't have to take care of any maintenance cost, you don't have to take care of any repair cost. So that's good for them, that they give a 5 for that. Possibly here, maybe they've been told, well, it depends on the situation. You never know. Sometimes we'll ask you to take care of it, sometimes we'll take care of it. And in that situation, they've given it a 3. And here, they've given it a 1 because possibly it's not good at all for them, which means they've been told, okay, all repair costs are on you, all maintenance costs are on you. So that's not good for them, so they give it a 1. So get the drift now. Just do the same, proximity to main roads. So possibly this is the farthest from the main road, and this is the least, no, this is, excuse me, this is the nearest to the main road. So this is good for them. So they've given it a 5. This is least good for them. So this is, say, Broco Towers is very far from the road, and Lemon House is also very far from the road. So they give it a 1. But say this is the nearest to the road, this is the second nearest to the road, this is kind of average, not so far, but this is very, very far for them. So you just keep ranking it that way. And you'll see you do that for all your interests, and you rank all of them. So you end up having a table that looks like this at the end of it. Okay, then now you're going to weigh your interest. So remember what you wrote as your interest, as the things that we have just mentioned, such as cost of leasing, security, nearness to the road, all those things. You're going to give it a weighting. And so how does that work? Your weighting that you're going to give depends on how important that is to you. How important is available security or manned entry to you? And all that has to add up to 100. So you're going to give weighting, but you have to add up all this and get to 100. Okay? So for instance, the most important thing for them, as you can see, is most available. So they're giving it 20 points. And then they have available internet and Wi-Fi, given it 13 points. So depending on how important. And then things that are important but they get least, like it's not so heavy, it's not so you know, it just gets a little point, is proximity to cafe and restaurants and the parking space. So it's important but not as important as how affordable the building is to them. So you give this a weighting, give your interest a weighting, and put that all to, it has to add up to 100. So if you realize it's more, just adjust until you have 100 as your final weighting, regardless of how long your list is. Even if you have a list of, I don't know, 20, just rank it and ensure that it all adds up to 100. Okay, then the next thing you're going to do, well, I'll show you, this is how your table will look like. So this is the first part where we did, we gave the ratings for each and every one of the building against our interests. And then now this is the weighting we've just done according to how important each item is to us. So this is what ideally your table should look like when you finish with that section. So the next thing you're going to do, you're going to do a multiplication sort of. So you're going to multiply for each alternative. So in this case, every building, your weight multiplied by your weighting multiplied by the ranking you give. Okay, the rating you give every building. So in this case, 10 by 5, 15 by 5. So you're going to do that for each and every one. Okay, so and that's what this, for instance, for Kell building, that's what they have done for this. So you can see that 7 multiplied by 3, you have that. That 7 multiplied by 1, you have that. So you do that for each and every one of your weighting against every alternative. And you're going to have a table like this. And the best way to do this is to use an Excel sheet, which is what I've done, and just imported it for you here so you can see. But really what you're doing is multiplying basically your weighting, for instance, for Broco Towers, by your alternative ranking, and that will give you this. Okay, and so the same thing, you're going to do that by this, and that will give you for the Kell building. Same thing you're going to do for Carrot House. You're going to do your weighting multiplied by every one of the ranking at Carrot House, and that should give you the Carrot House scores. Going to do the same for Lemon House, multiply that, and that should give you the scores for Lemon House. Okay, and you do that for all of them. Again, for this, multiplied by the Grape Tower, and that will give you the total scores for that. So you end up having a table that looks like this. Okay, and then after, what you're going to do next, you're going to add up all this. So you add up all your scores for each and every one of the alternative. So in this case, for Kell building, we've added up all this, okay, and come up with 358 as our final score. And we're just going to do that for all this. We're going to do that for all this and come up with a score, which here on the black line on here on the total score. So you can see what each and every building has scored here. So you can see that. You can see Kell building 358 points, Broco Towers 296 points, Carrot 246, Lemon House 311, Grape Tower 335. And that's how you're going to make your decision. Okay, so from that you can see Kell building meets your needs the most, 358 points. The one that doesn't meet you, that meets your needs the least, Carrot House. So you obviously don't want that. Okay, and you can keep having a discussion about, in fact, you can end up saying, okay, this is our number one, this is our number two. You can end up discussing between those two and knock off every other option at this point. Yeah, so that's how you make a decision using this method, which is the multiple criteria decision analysis. Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so that's the multiple criteria decision making analysis method. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you're going to use it in the future. Do let me know if you like this, and if you do, I will be able to possibly share with you some more informative stuff. Do give me a thumbs up if you like it. If you'd like to hear more, if you'd like to learn some more, do give me a leave a comment for me in the comment section, or send me an email, and I'll be able to get in touch with you. We'll email you back eventually, probably within the week. Okay, give me about 5 days, I'll get to you. All right. Okay, thank you, and I'll see you next time. Do let me know what you think. Okay. All right. See you next time. Bye bye.